Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to another video, and in this video we're going to be continuing on with our iOS development with UIKit tutorial series. Now, in this particular tutorial, we are going to be taking a look at a relatively simple view, and that is UIColorWell. Now, what is UIColorWell? UIColorWell is a view in UIKit that allows you to select a color from a system-defined color picker. Now, how you customize the color picker or the ColorWell will determine what things you can do in the system sheet for selecting a color. For example, if you specify that your ColorWell doesn't support an alpha channel, you won't be able to use the sliders part of of the system color selection sheet, right? So I urge you to experiment a little bit with this view, but I'm going to show you kind of the bare bones idea of how it is that we can utilize this view. So inside of Xcode, what you're going to do is first we actually need a UIColorWell object, and we can do this by saying var color picker equals UIColorWell and give it an empty initializer like that. Now inside of configure is where we are going to configure our view. So if we say color picker dot, we can say selected color. Now this is a property that is of type UIColor. This property will allow us to set and retrieve the currently selected color. So we'll say, for now, our selected color will be equal to dot system red. All right, so it'll be red by default as our selected color. Then we can say color picker dot supports alpha. Now this is a Boolean that determines whether or not you want to support an opacity or alpha channel in your color. So if you want it to be slightly transparent, then go ahead and set this to true. So what I'll do here is I will set this to not a string. Okay, color picker supports alpha equals true, let's say. Color picker dot. Now title, the title is going to be used, for example, for a screen reader. It's kind of an accessibility thing. We'll set that equal to, we'll set that to select a color to display, and we'll just say that. All right. We can say color picker dot and if you want to get the value of the color picker every time it changes, you can add a target and a selector for the value changed event. So we'll say add target. We'll make self the target. And then we'll say number or hashtag selector. And then this selector will be value changed. And then for a specific event, value changed. Now, every time that the value changes in this picker, our value changed method will be called. Now, we haven't created this method yet, and that's perfectly fine. Let's go ahead and enable programmatic constraints and add this view as a subview to our view controller's view. That's a lot of saying view, but you know. Color picker dot translates auto resizing mask into constraints equals false. Like that. Then we will say view, add subview, color picker. Now let's quickly constrain this view. We're going to have it just sitting there in the center of the screen. So we'll say view, or rather, nah. It's ns layout constraint dot activate and inside of here, like usual, we'll put all of our constraints. So color picker dot center x anchor dot constraint is equal to view center x anchor, color picker dot center y anchor dot constraint equal to view center y anchor, like that. And that should be it, because our ColorWell has a default width and height already. So we don't have to worry about those two dimensions. We just have to worry about the X and Y positioning. All right, so now we can save this and create our action method here. So we'll say at objc private func value changed underscore sender is a UIColorWell, and inside of this method's body we will simply say view layer dot background color is going to be equal to sender dot selected color dot CG color. And there we go. Let's go ahead and run the application. All right, so here we are. You can see in the center of our application, whether you're running it in the simulator, whether you're running it on Mac OS, whatever it is that you're doing, there is a little circular view in the center of your application. And in the center of it, you'll see the selected color, which in our case right now is red. Now, the title, you might if you're using VoiceOver, you might notice doesn't get announced by the screen reader. We just get the color and the type of view that it is. On macOS anyway. On iOS, we don't even get the kind of view. We just get the selected color's name. That's it. So if you want, and you probably, and frankly, I recommend that you do, set an accessibility label on these, so that way, assistive technology users can more easily use these views. All right, so let's go ahead and click on this ColorWell. And you can see that it brings up a little window. And the title is being displayed in that window. Now on macOS, the ColorWell will bring up the macOS color picker panel. And every time we change it, so let's say pencils, or actually, no, let's say color palettes. We have a table here. Right? So every time we go through a row here, the color changes. I want to go through this as slow as possible so I don't, so I don't make anybody potentially watching have a seizure. That would not be ideal. All right. So right now, dark magenta is selected, at least according to VoiceOver. So you can see how that exactly works, but let's go ahead and run this application in the simulator so you can see what the iOS color picker panel looks like. So I'm going to go into the toolbar, and we are going to select 16 Pro Max. All right, we have a successful build. We just got to let it load and do its thing. Okay, here we go. It's loading, doing its thing. Unfortunately, the simulator does take a little while. I wish it didn't, but it does. This is why people like the SwiftUI previews in SwiftUI, because you don't have to wait as long. But, whatever. So, alright, so here we are. You can see we have our navigation title and all that stuff. We have our little circle color picker right there in the smack dab center of our app. When we tap on it, this is the pop-up that you get. So in this sheet, in this little sheet here, you'll have 3 different options in a segmented control: spectrum, grid, and sliders. Now, what that will do is in the sliders section, you will be able to adjust 4 different sliders: the red value, the green value, and the blue value of the color. So you can change how all that works and looks. But you can also change the opacity of the color. So if you want it to be halfway transparent or 75% of the way transparent, or completely opaque, or completely clear, you could do that using this ColorWell and that sliders option there. Now, grid shows a bunch of colors in a grid style layout that you can pick different colors from. It's not quite as big of a variety as if you were to use, say, Spectrum, or modify the RGB values in the sliders tab. And that brings me to Spectrum. The Spectrum option shows a spectrum of colors similar to grid, except it's not like a grid of colors. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a spectrum of colors where you can drag your finger around and it will smoothly transition between the different colors in the spectrum that you can use. There's much more possibilities for colors in that option than there is in grid. Because with grid, you're limited to the number of colors actually in the grid. You're not limited to more nuanced color options as you would be with the sliders or Spectrum. Alright, so with that pretty much does it for this video on UIColorWell. Thank you all so very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.